Hey there, welcome to Violet's DIY Style. If this is your first time to my channel, I'm Violet and I hope you consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to click on that bell button so you can be notified every time I upload a new tutorial. So today's tutorial, I'm going to share with you how I made this adorable little side table using some thrift store finds and as well as a Easter wreath using some Dollar Tree supplies. The first one we're going to be making is our Easter wreath. Now what I use is I'm reusing some of these little felt Easter eggs and also some black felt from Dollar Tree as well. Now these Easter eggs, they were from last year. It was like a garland. I can't remember if I did get it at Dollar Tree or at the dollar spot at Target, but you can typically find felt even at Dollar Tree, so you can easily make a shape of your bunny foot if you like. So what I did was basically just use one of these little Easter egg felts, and then I just kind of eyeballed how a rabbit's foot would look, and kind of just cut it out. And then I did that for both of them, and I glued it onto my little Easter egg to make the bunny's foot. But if you don't feel comfortable doing it this way, you can also easily just print one out and then cut your fabric out the same way. So once a while was happy, I just go in ahead and, like I said, just glued it on with some hot glue onto the little egg that I used for his foot. So once I was done making both of the little Easter foots, just went ahead and set those aside. Then I went ahead and got one of these foam wreaths from Dollar Tree and also one of these cleaning fiber cloths from Dollar Tree as well. They're usually in the automotive little area or that aisle. So you can use even the baby's blanket if you want, or felt as well. So what I did was just cut a few strips of this white fabric. And I did cut it roughly about 4 inches in width, but you might want to cut it a little bit larger than that because I did have a little gap in some areas where I had to add just that extra fabric. But just go ahead and cut out the strips depending on what kind of wreath you're using. And then what we're going to do is basically use a hot glue gun to wrap it around our wreath. So the way I started wrapping my fabric around my wreath is I just used one side first. So what I did was just went ahead and added a little bit of glue just right along the edge of the fabric. And then I just wrapped it around that wreath. And as you can see, I'm only wrapping it around halfway because this right here is going to be the back of the wreath. So that way you won't see that line. And just continue adding your glue right along that same line all around your wreath and wrapping your fabric. And I'm just doing one side at a time. It's just easier for me this way, but if you feel more comfortable wrapping both sides, go ahead and do that as well. But this is just the way I thought it was easier for me to do it, which was just wrapping one side first. That way I could have more control of the fabric, and then I can tighten it a lot easier and better to make it nice and even on the other side as well. So once you're done with one strip of that fabric, just go ahead and attach your second one right along the edge of your first one, just by adding some hot glue on that edge. And then just continue doing the same process of adding your glue around your wreath and then continue adding your fabric. This wreath is so adorable, and you can make it and customize it so many different ways depending on the fabric you use and the different flowers or bow ribbons that you're going to use for this project. So you can even make this more shabby chic, more Victorian, even for more farmhouse or glam. Let me know what kind of Easter decor are you making this year. So once you're done wrapping it around all the edges for one side, as you can see here, I did have some extras, so I just decided to go ahead and cut a little bit strip off of it, and then just with the rest of it glue over it just to overlap that second layer. So now go ahead and flip it over, and now you can really tighten that fabric around your wreath and glue it around the edge of your other one. So basically what I did was just kind of tighten it up, add some glue along that edge just the way we did it the first way. And I just added a little bit on that corner just to get it started, and then pulled it inwards to match and kind of reach all the way to where I glued the first edge. And I just continued that same process around the entire wreath again. So you just continue adding your glue and wrapping it around. You don't need that much glue. For some reason, this fabric was really easy to attach to this foam. I had never really used this fabric with the foam wreath before, but it was really surprisingly easy for it to attach to it, which for my case, I've always thought the foam was harder to attach fabric to, but I guess not. So that was a really nice surprise. But just go ahead and continue adding your glue and wrapping your wreath around with your fabric. So right here you can see where I had to add just that extra piece of fabric. So the good thing was that this was in the back, so you're not going to see it at all. But just make sure you do cut at least a 5-inch strip instead of 4 inches. Just to make sure that it does stay nice and even, and you won't have to add that extra layer. So this is the way the front looks. Now what I did was just grab one of these little Easter bunny tails from Dollar Tree as well, and they usually have that little clip. I just pulled it off of the clip and then just added some hot glue and glued it to my wreath. So this Easter wreath was really easy and super fast. I think the hardest thing was, or the most time consuming, because it wasn't really even hard, was to wrap that fabric around the wreath. So that was really the most time consuming thing out of this entire project. So it's really craft friendly, especially if you're just starting to do crafts. So once I was done adding my little tail, I went ahead and grabbed my feet and just added my feet to right around the edge of my tail, just by using my hot glue gun as well. So next what I did was, to make it even easier, I just simply grabbed some of these little headband bunny ears, and they have quite a few different options that you can choose from. Since I was using this white fabric, I decided to go ahead and grab these bunny ears with the same white fabric in the background, but they do have like the yellow, pink, blue. They have quite a few different options of you to choose from. So the colors, you have quite a few different variety of colors as well. So that's a really nice thing to do, especially if you're going to make this for, you know, a different or a certain person or something like that, that you know they have that certain color that they like. So once you're done removing your ears from your headband, all you're going to do is kind of adjust them and figure out where you want to place them on your wreath, and then just attach them using some hot glue and adding it to the bottom of your ear. And I did add quite a bit just to make sure that they did stay in place. And then I just attached them to my wreath. Now I did attach them together at the same time, just simply so I could make sure that they were right where I wanted them and they were nice and even for my taste. So once it was all nice and dry, all I did was grab some of these little Easter ribbons that I already had on hand. And actually these were already cut from some other projects that I had already done. So all I'm doing is just basically cutting these in half, and I'm just going to use them to make a simple bow. And all I did was make that little penguin tail or point tail on each one of these. And these are roughly about 4 inches in width as well, or in length, I'm sorry. So just go ahead and cut all the tails of these ribbons. And as you can see, I'm using some that say Easter on them with different colors, some burlap, and then also some Dollar Tree ribbon that has Easter colors as well. So you can use any kind of ribbon you like, again, just depending on your style or what kind of Easter theme you're going for. And this one is from Dollar Tree. And it was more of that silky one, but I would recommend you using the kind that has the wiring in it. So that way your ribbon and your bow could be more structured and easier to handle and work with. All right, so there's so many different ways you can make your ribbon or with your bows, but what I decided to do for this one was basically just kind of pile each one of my ribbons together. So I had 3 different color ribbons, so I just made different piles of each one, adding one of these ribbons in each pile. Then all I did was pinch them together. And then I grabbed the second pile, pinched all those together, basically just kind of doing like an accordion style ribbon right in the center of each one of these piles, and then just kind of putting them all together. So once I was done with that, go ahead and you can grab a zip tie or any kind of other ribbon, a thinner one, or even some jute twine, just depending on what you want to use. And I just grabbed some jute twine. This is typically what I do with all my bows. Then I just kind of wrapped it around and then knotted that jute twine to make my bow. And I always flip it over and make another knot just to make sure it's nice and secure. And I did leave those extra pieces of jute twine, that way I can tie it around my wreath to attach it to it as well. So just go ahead and adjust your bow. And then you can add any kind of other little simple bows that you like in the center or ribbons. In my case, I'm using this white glitter ribbon and some purple satin ribbon from Dollar Tree. And I just made a simple bow with them together. And I glued that right in the center of my larger bow. Easter is just one of those holidays that I absolutely love, just like Christmas. I love decorating for it. I just like all the pretty colors and the spring. It just makes me feel so bright and homey inside my home. So I just love decorating for Easter. What are your holidays that you like decorating for? Mine is Easter and Christmas. I just absolutely love decorating for those 2 holidays. So once I was done making my bow, I went ahead and grabbed one of these roses from Dollar Tree as well. And these are the felt ones that they have now. And I glued it right into the center of my bow. Then I added some glue and attached the bow to the center of my bunny wreath. And as you can tell, I still had those extra burlap strings, which I tied to the back as well, just to make sure it was nice and secure. Then with the extra piece of that, I also made a double knot to make a loop in order for me to hang it and attach it to my wall or door. So our second DIY today, or repurpose, that I'm going to do is I found this really adorable suitcase from my local thrift store, and I believe it was about $2 with the 50% off. Then I had some of these metal legs that I had from a previous table that I'm reusing onto this luggage. So what I did was basically just center all 3 of them and put them, drilled some holes with my drill and screwed in these little screws for these feet. So all I did was put these little metal brackets onto the back of my little suitcase, and now I'm just going to attach them to it. And now you could add some E6000 if you like, but it was really easy just to drill these little screws into this luggage. Now, one thing I would recommend is if you are going to do something like this, make sure you do check your screws, that they're not too long so they won't go all the way into your luggage. If they do that, just make sure to grab some smaller ones, or again, use some E6000 if you like. So once that was done, I just set that aside. And then I went ahead and grabbed the feet from the same leg that I'm just reusing, and I'm going to stain them to match, kind of match the colors of my luggage. I couldn't match it exactly, but I did want it to look darker since these were the white color. So this is something that is really, I would recommend you do when you do go out thrift store shopping, or maybe even just reuse some of the furniture you have. Before you throw it away or decide to give it away, check to see if there's items or something that you can just break apart and reuse for other items or other projects. For instance, these legs. Like I said, I had these for a while hanging out, and I'm so glad I did, because look what I made. Such an adorable little luggage side table. So here is the wreath that I did. And I'm going to show you how I decorated and what I used my little side table for. And it's going to be a little reading nook that I'm using it for. And this is the way it turned out for Easter. So adorable. I left mine open, but you can easily just close it. So just goes to show you, you can use little luggages for side tables, not just for luggage itself. So I hope you enjoyed this little DIY projects, and if you did, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and share with friends and family. Until next time, you guys stay blessed.